Hi, Mark here from Online Guitar Lessons. In this video I'm just going to look at how you set up a guitar to sort out a tremolo which is fixed like this one to make it floating, and just a couple of things that you'd need to do to set that up. This is the Entwistle EST100, so it's upside down, and so this video is literally just going to be a quick video. It's brand new, out of the box, plays great. But now I actually want to set it up to how I would play it. So we're going to have a look at that. Okay, so now we're obviously looking at the back of the guitar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to whip that back plate off so we can see the springs, and then have a look and see what we're dealing with inside there. Okay, so we've whipped the back plate off of here, and now you can see there's actually only 3 springs in here anyway. But what you probably notice is this part here, the clamp part, is fixed right into the body. It's screwed right in. So the way we release the tension on there is, first of all, I'm probably not going to do anything with the springs themselves, but I'm going to wind this out and see how that affects the tension on the back of the block there. As you can see, it's just 2 crosshead Phillips style screws. And so all you need to do is literally just to wind them out, do a few turns on each one so that you wind them out more or less evenly. So if you do a couple on one, go to the other one and do a couple on there, and then that will just make sure that there's no extra tension on one of the screws causing any problems. Okay, let's wind those out. Okay, so I've wound out these screws here, about 20 turns each on average. And there's quite a lot less tension on the tremolo now. The guitar's laying face down, so you can't really see from there. If I flip it over, okay, so now we've flipped the guitar over. You might be able to tell here, it's very difficult to do this obviously, but there's quite a lot less tension on there now. I can actually move it with my fingers. With the leverage you get from the tremolo arm, that would be, that would make the trem rock a little bit. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to change the strings. I'm going to put a set of 10s on here. These feel like 9s. And the increased tension on the heavier gauge strings will also just add a little bit more pressure on the springs at the back, so it should just change the tremolo a little bit. So now I've got the tension off of there with those turned out quite a bit further. I'm going to just loosen off all the strings and cut them, and then put the new ones on. So let's do that. Okay, so strings are off now, and as you can see, the fretboard has got some little dusty marks on there. Usually that's kind of sort of the marks that you see there will be left over from years of playing where the fretboard gets worn. But obviously this is a new guitar. You can probably see there as well around the fret edges. It's not so visible on the camera, but there's a bit of dust on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some lemon oil onto the fretboard and just use that little brush to scrub it in, just to give the fretboard a freshen up. One thing to bear in mind is when these guitars are made, and this Entwistle was made in China, like many of our guitars these days. When they're packed, obviously they're put together in a factory. They've got a huge volume of guitars going through, so they'll just whack on whatever strings that the manufacturer are using, and then that guitar goes through shipping. It gets put into a box, so it leaves a factory in whatever conditions are in China in terms of weather and temperature and stuff like that, and then it probably gets put into a shipping container and shipped all the way around the world. So what you've got to remember is that this guitar, when you go to the shop in whatever country you're in and you pick up your new guitar, there's a big possibility that that guitar's been through a few people's hands, and also seen quite a lot of temperature changes and humidity and things like that. So there might be new strings on the guitar, but it'll have been played in and tested, and then other people might have played the guitar in the shop, for example. So it's always nice to just put some fresh strings on there anyway, and then you can put your own choice of brand and gauge on there, and that's obviously going to help you sort of make the guitar feel more at home for your playing style. Okay, so I'm just going to put that lemon oil on the neck, and we'll give it a clean up. Okay, so now I've put the lemon oil on, and you literally just push the lid down and just rub it in so that the lemon oil comes out. And then I just get the toothbrush and, very simple, just brush that into the fretboard so that it gets a chance to get into the wood. So I'm just going to do that for the whole of the fretboard. Okay, so as you can see, I've rubbed the lemon oil all along the fretboard now, and what I'm going to use to wipe it off is just good old kitchen paper, okay, and just get it all around the neck and rub it across the frets, back and forth like that. Don't use toilet paper because it just breaks up into little pieces. It's not as heavy duty as kitchen paper, but kitchen paper is not abrasive or anything, so it will get into the fretboard nice and cleanly. You might be able to see there's a little bit of dirt coming off the fretboard. Okay, I've rubbed the fretboard down with the kitchen paper now, and I'll just give that a couple of minutes to just dry off a bit. There's one more tip that I just want to pass on here for when you're restringing a guitar. Quite often these on the top of the machine head, which actually hold it in, secure to the body, can come loose, and periodically you might be playing and hear a rattle or vibration or something. So it's a good idea whenever you can just to check that, I think it's like a 10mm spanner or something would take care of that, or pliers, just to make sure that these are not loose. And also the actual machines themselves have got screws in the top there, and again, sometimes the machines can be really stiff or really loose, and it's just a matter of personal preference, but they could do with being reasonably tight so that they just turn with a nice positive action, so that they're not twisting around really easily, because if they're a bit loose they won't help with tuning, but also if you bump them in a gig bag or whatever, they're going to go out of tune really quickly. Okay, so I'm just going to give the body a dust down now. Okay, so now it's been restrung with a new set of D'Addario 10s, and let's have a look at the bridge now. As you can see, the release and tension from the back there, and the screws holding that claw in has slackened off the actual tension on the springs, and now you can see there's a little bit of lift there on the actual bridge block itself. So when that's pushed back, there's a little bit of lift there as well, so it just allows you to sort of generate some gentle sort of tremolo action without going too crazy and trying to force the block down and then back, and that should hold its tone reasonably well and its tuning. The action has changed a little bit as well now, it's come up a little bit, but what I'll do is I'll leave the strings on there for a few days just to settle in a bit so that the neck and everything can adjust to the new tension. And then what I'll probably do is once I've played it a bit and decided what to do, just bring each individual string down maybe just a little bit through the individual string height adjustment on each of those saddles. Okay, so there you go, that's from a stock guitar out of the box with a fixed hard to move tremolo, and what I'll probably do is add another video in a few days, just playing it a bit and just making sure that the tuning hasn't suffered from having the tremolo active like that. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you in another video. All the best.